Hi, I'm Jack, and this is the Attract Capital webinar series. I'm here with David Barnett, our CEO and founder of Attract Capital.
Hi, everybody.
Today we will be talking about the current environment, and our webinar title is How Recessions Impact Middle Market Lending. So, David, with this talk of recession possibility, what does your crystal ball say?
Well, my crystal ball, Jack, and I've been thinking about this and getting a lot of good feedback from my clients as well as following what's going on in the marketplace, is that we will have a recession, in part because inflation has really not been well contained, and that we think there's going to be a fair amount of demand destruction going forward where people are just going to stop buying because they're a bit worried about their finances. And it really is a monetary phenomenon. There's too much money chasing too few goods. I think it really gets back to a lot of the COVID stimulus that went into the economy, went into an economy that was already under a lot of pressure to supply goods. So it was a stressed supply chain and it just exacerbated the situation. So the classic definition of a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of negative economic growth. I think we're going to get 1. The question is, do we get 2? I think we will likely get there. And also another important point to think about is that there's a lot of gloom, economic pessimism. If you look at the University of Michigan index, it's at like a 40-year low or a 50-year low in terms of optimism, consumer optimism. And when people start feeling that negative, it really becomes a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. They just kind of pull back in. So I think July, August are going to be telltale months for us, but I think we're going to get a recession.
And more specifically, how do middle market lenders think in a recession?
Well, I've been through 4 recessions, Jack, in my lending days, starting out in the aftermath of the S&L crisis in the late 80s, early 90s. And what I will say is that everybody gets more conservative, and the people that are making the decisions about which loan to make, they become less trusting of the people that are bringing them the information. They rely more upon their own personal experiences because they're just worried about everything, and it's kind of hard for them. In a good market, everybody thinks it's going to keep going up. In a bad market, people think they kind of over adjust and they think it's going to keep getting worse. So what happens is there's a flight to quality, and you see that in the stock market. They talk about that where a lot of foreign money rushes into treasuries. You see that in the middle market with lenders. Everybody wants to do the better deals. They want to do the deals with the companies that are in more defensive industries. They want companies that have better deal structures. They want the best management team. So there's almost because of that flight to quality, it means that people are definitely kind of hiding from the risk that's out there in the market. The good news is, and there's really good news, is that most lenders and banks are very flush. Their capital adequacy ratios are extremely high. And there's just an enormous amount of debt in the direct lending and the private debt market that's available for middle market companies. So while there may be some tightening and some rationing and looking for better companies to lend to, there's just so much money that there's still going to be a good amount of money available.
And how will this likely recession affect middle market lending in general?
So I think what you're going to see is structures are going to tighten up, and the amount of loan may go down, maybe 1/4 point in terms of like the leverage that is in a deal. So maybe 0.25 of a turn, it may tighten up. I think because you have so much dry powder, I think a lot of deals are still going to get done, whether they're direct lending deals or whether they're buyout deals. I think the covenants will tighten up a bit. I think whereas you had more covenant light and you had looser covenants, I think banks and private debt funds are going to want to have a tighter early warning signal if the company is not doing as well as it had budgeted. So I think it stands to reason if that people are fleeing to quality, marginal deals are going to be tougher to get done. So if you've got a tough deal, if you've got a deal with hair on it, it's going to be harder to get that deal done. In a rising market, marginal deals get done all the time, but I think it's going to be much more discriminating to lenders. I also think that there will be more debt that is available for special situations and turnarounds because there's been such massive fundraising and there's such large amounts of money of assets under management. And I think in general, the market will still be very good, but it'll become more selective. But I think it will be strong. So I think it's still a good time for a middle market company to raise financing, but it's not going to be as easy and as effusive a market as it has been in the past.
Well, there you have it. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the Attract Capital webinar series.
Thank you.
Thank you.